As the war rages on in Ukraine, how exactly did we get here? Well, what didn't help is the weak rhetoric like this from President Biden.
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, et cetera.
This is a man that requires note cards when asked questions on Putin. And these are questions from journalists still wet behind the ears. If Trump were in office, he'd handle this completely differently, I believe. And we know because he dealt with strongmen tyrants before. He doesn't do Zoom calls like Sleepy Joe. Trump goes directly to them, like when he met Kim Jong-un at the demilitarized zone, becoming the first sitting U.S. president to step into North Korea, or firmly shaking the hands of a ruthless dictator like Putin. See how I pulled him in there? Simple gesture that transmits strength, reminding Putin that the United States will not be intimidated. I don't think Biden could pull Putin in. So how would Trump handle the war in Ukraine? Joining us now is someone who can help us answer that question, former senior advisor to President Trump and the CEO of GETTR, Jason Miller, joins us. Thank you, Jason. So what are your thoughts on your old boss handling Putin the way a little bit differently than Joe Biden's doing it, huh?
Well, Eric, the key is deterrence, and deterrence is the most effective weapon that we have right now, even more important than the actual tactical military that you might go and deploy. And when Biden completely fumbled the withdrawal from Afghanistan, that's when I think Putin made his decision to go into Ukraine. He knew exactly what Biden do. He already had this gamed out 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. And Biden is completely asleep at the switch. We've seen this at every step all the way through. And in fact, as Putin started to ratchet things up and said that here's a really bright red line you can't cross with regard to NATO expansion, what does Biden do? He goes and ups the ante and sends more military aid to Ukraine, only further inflaming Putin. And so I think Trump would have taken it a much different direction and said, no, this is a deterrent. We don't want you to go and invade a sovereign country. But Joe Biden, he's just been there too long. He knows one speed, and that's to go and try to push this global agenda and additional military conflict. And I think innocent people have died as a result.
Jason, you know, I had an idea. It's just I'm actually literally like reading something. I had an idea. Trump spoke to, you know, he knows Putin. They've had a relationship before. If Donald Trump wants to be president again, can you imagine the support he would get if he picked up the phone, and I'm sure Putin would take the call, and called Putin and said, what are you doing, Vlad? Cut the crap, back off, and let's work this out when I'm president again in 20. He would destroy the field. He would immediately become president in 24, and then things would be a lot calmer. Why doesn't he pick up the phone?
Well, I think probably for the simple reason that then automatically the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of the fakes out there would go screaming saying this is some sort of Logan Act violation. And even if President Trump were to, in fact, save life after life, and which I do think that he would, no, it's the media is never going to give him that opportunity, even though, keep in mind, Eric, and you know this, Putin went in, took Crimea under Obama and Biden. He's now making this unlawful invasion in Ukraine under Biden. There was no such action under Trump because leaders knew that Trump was going to be very tough on them and he would have no problem with firing back. Biden has no deterrence.
You know what? We have our side too. This side of the media might say, you know what, Mr. Trump, good job. You saved a lot of lives, Ukrainian lives, and other, hopefully, you know, maybe even American lives down the road. Jason Miller, always great having you on, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir.